Hey guys, thanks for jumping in. I'll just give you all the couple of seconds to get in and get sorted, but just please add in that chat that you can see the Safe Food Pro 101 green screen that should be on that main screen of the webinar. Just pop my video on as well. Hey guys. Sweet, thanks Gareth. Perfect. Awesome. And please feel free to, just while we're starting and waiting for the others to all join in and file through, think of some questions that you might find you have with Safe Food Pro. Feel free to either pop them in the Q&A section now and I can cover them at the end, or as we go through. But we are here, or I am here to be able to answer all those questions for you guys. So please feel free just to pop them in, even if they're not quite relevant with today's topic. And I can either contact you directly afterwards or do it in the Q&A session. So go for it. Perfect. Looks like we're all in here pretty well. Easy. Yeah, and just a reminder, if you have any problems with hearing me or seeing what you think you're supposed to be seeing, sometimes the sharing with the screens can be a little bit dodgy. Just use the chat to let me know, and then I'll try and solve it. Last time we had a few internet issues, so I'm hoping they'll be sorted out this time, fingers crossed. If not, we do always send a recording of the webinar so you guys can watch it with your team or send it on to your staff and things like that. So you've got that recording and you can go and refer to it whenever you need to. So the purpose of today's webinar is pretty much just to go through things that you may not have discovered in the app, or things you may not use on the day-to-day but could actually be really helpful for what you guys do. So we do add in quite a few features throughout the year with our releases that we do, and it's quite easy just to miss a couple of them or maybe not understand exactly why they're there or how they could help. So I'm going to try and highlight a couple of features today, mainly from the app side of things, and then we'll jump into the admin console just to kind of close the loop at the end of the session today as well. But again, if you have any questions, fire them through because I am all ears. The more you guys flick through to me, the more we can make this a personalized experience as well. Awesome. Cool. So I am just going to start to share my screen on my phone. Fingers crossed we have good luck with this today. Perfect. So just give me a little wave in that chat to make sure you can see the phone here as well. So you should be able to, sweet, thanks guys. So basically I'll quickly cover some basics. I know a few of you guys are experts in Safe Food Pro now, which is really cool, but just a couple of things that people miss when they are newer to the app. For starters, make sure if you're been with us for a little while, make sure you have got the newest version of our app, because we did do a release about a month ago now, or a bit less than that. So that's step one, make sure you've got that. And if you don't, just update it and then just check your settings to make sure you've got those auto updates on for next time as well. Cool. So looking at the app, really basic run through. You've got your daily scheduled forms here based off that today tab at the bottom. Weekly is in the this week and monthly is in the this month, depending if you've got any on here. So you're just due to complete those per day, once per week or once per month to kind of get those food safety records completed. We've then got the ad hoc button here, the green plus button. This one is known to be forgotten about because it are those forms that you don't do every day, so they become a bit less of a routine. So you can find forms in here like your troubleshooting, that's really good to complete. So you'll see we've got the troubleshooting section here. So if you get a customer complaint or you have an incident, no matter how big or small, feel free to log it in here. Then you've got that record to show your verifier when it next comes to verification. Same with maintenance. You've got those thermometer calibration records here as well. We do by default schedule those in your account in the this month tab, and they show up every 3 months. So you can always check on your admin console on the forms page to make sure that you've got those ones in there. If not, you can always access them from ad hoc if you just want to do it, you know, like a one-off one to check that it is still working well. Cool. So this is where you get heaps of stuff The main one here that we do really try and push for is the training. Make sure you are training your staff. If you don't use our app for that, you use something else, that's completely fine. But you can fully build in your own training forms or use the ones we've given you. So start with the induction training as a basic intro into food safety, and then take a deeper dive with the specific training of business procedure or method for each of your staff from there. So if I click on that form, it gives you a nice, it's a flexible form that you can use for different parts of your business. So you can go through and select your staff member's name. So let's say I'm training myself for today. You can then train them in a specific section of your food control plan. So I'll go applicable FCP. Then you can select one of those sections that is in the food control plan. So say I'm training the chef, for example. So I'll probably want to choose making and cooking. Then you can just write out a brief description of the training. So you could say, walked them through the proving, excuse my typo, cooking method form. And you can continue to ensure that they follow that it's cooked at this temperature for this amount of time and so on. You can click tick. You can also even add a photo if you want to prove that maybe they completed something or you've got a record of something. You can take a photo and add it in there as well. Or just a photo of the two of you together could always be nice too. You can, if you'd like to, then link in a resource. So if I click on that one, this grabs from the resource section that is on the admin console on your computer. So you can upload resources in there. Say you've got a good training video or an intro for your staff. They could select the resource from this list, and then it says that they were trained in that resource. We have already added in this MPI section here, so you should have a few breakdowns of the food control plan, or you could just select template food control plan, as that's just like the basic template version of that. Then from there, you can simply just sign it off. So I've been trained, and then the person who did the training could sign off here as well. Cool, so that's what you can do. You can also use this form. So say you update your menu, or you update a process, or you've changed your food control plan, you now do something differently, you now cool food when you didn't used to before. You could go through and get your chef or the relevant staff member to complete this form based off the thing that's changed. So then they now have a record that they've learned how to do the new process. So you can do it as many times as you need to. And it's a really good one to have in there. Awesome. So they're your ad hoc forms. If it is one you use quite often, you can star it at the top. And off our next release, we had that search bar added in there as well. So you can just quickly type in the one you're after and just find it straight away. Awesome. So that's the basic side of how to use the app. To go deeper now, if you are new to Safe Food Pro, don't worry if this just goes up right over your head, but it's a good intro into it, and you can always ask me extra questions about it later. But it's just when it comes to doing those corrective actions. So it's a really cool part of Safe Food Pro that helps you have that control over actions and tasks that you've assigned to your staff, just to help improve the processes. So say, for example, I'm going to do my receiving a delivery form. Now, this is a good example. By default, the receiving delivery form in your account is usually scheduled for ad hoc, so you usually access it from this green plus button. What I've done here is I've actually changed the schedule to daily, so it shows up here, which can be a good prompt if you find your staff might forget to go to the ad hoc form and do it every day. For my cafe, for example, we don't get deliveries every single day, but we do get them quite frequently. We just don't know what days they're coming. So I've added in here what we call a conditional section to this form. You can learn more about how to do this in our form building webinar, but if you do want to set something like this up, just flick me a message and I can contact you afterwards and help set this up in your account as well. But what this conditional section does is it hides all of the questions in your form and just has one initial question at the top. So it just asks me, did you receive a delivery today? With a tick box, yes. If I didn't, what I can do is I don't have to fill in the form, and I can just simply click Save Final to save the form off without having to answer any questions. That way my form stats are still at 100% for that day, and my staff still got the reminder to fill in the delivery form if they did get one. If they did then receive a delivery, they'd just go in and tick yes. And then now all of the questions in the form have appeared. So I can go through and do supplier name. Let's say it is a fruit delivery. You can go in and add that docket number, general description. Let's just go fruit and vegetables. You can add a photo if you like to. Was chilled food delivered? Let's say yes. If chilled food was delivered, what was the temperature? Let's say it was around 2.5 degrees. Was frozen food delivered? I'm going to say no. I can ignore that next question. And this last one says, I'll click on it so I can see more. If there was an issue with the delivery, has the supplier been informed in an incident logged? So I'm going to say no, but that means there was an issue with the delivery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the little dots here in the little yellow box, and I'm going to make, oh, wrong button. I'm going to add a note here. So this is what we call a blue note. This blue note here is also the same as clicking this blue note icon on the bottom left corner. The difference is I'm attaching this to this specific question, whereas if you use this one, it just attaches it to the top of the form. So it's more like a generic one related to the whole form. So if I click here, I'll add that note, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to say wrong produce was delivered. Had to send back. Let's go redelivery. Oops. This afternoon. Cool. The typing is very hard under pressure. So then I click the tick from there. So that's added a blue note. So that's like an observation as to what has happened. What I now want to do is I also would like to add a action from here. So I'm going to click add action. So this is those corrective actions. So based off that, let's just say something bad had happened to the delivery and I want to lodge an incident form. So I'm going to tell whoever was working that day. So please complete incident form to report the bad delivery. Cool. I can then assign it to a staff member that I want to complete the form. So say I'm going to do it to Susie Smith. You can do a color if you guys, you could start to do, so there's a few colors here. You could say, you know, any action with the color green is to do with training. Any action with the color yellow is to do with deliveries, things like that. You don't have to, but it just helps with sorting. Priority, let's just make this a normal priority. When due, I'd like her to have this completed by tomorrow. And then you can also then attach an ad hoc form. So I'm actually just going to help her out and link that incident form in here. So she's got it straight away when she gets the notification. I can now click tick. You can see that the little corrective action was added with that little red dot. And you can see it's been added here as well. So I can then click save final to save the form, sign it off under my name, and that form's now done. And you'll also see now on this daily page, I've got it set up in the settings. So if we go up here, we'll have a quick segue into this section. But I've got my settings set up so that it hides completed tasks. So if you find you guys have heaps of forms in your account and you'd like to hide them once they're completed, you can set that. I'm going to, for this example, untick that one and go back to my diary checklist so I can see them once they're completed. So now you can see here that receiving a delivery form has been completed. We've got that blue note or observation here, and it has a corrective action. So what Susie, whoever we assign that to, would be able to do is she would have gotten a little notification on her device. If you guys all have your own devices and users set up, you'll be able to then go to the corrective actions logo up the top right, the little red page. So now what you can see here are all of the actions that are due in your account. So I scroll down to the bottom and I can see the action is here for Susie. It's due tomorrow. If I click this little arrow icon here, I can get a bit more information because it takes me down exactly to where that action was added in that form. So I can see how to add fridges and chillers. Oh, perfect. I didn't see that question come through. I'll cover that one at the end as well. So what we can see is that question's been added at the bottom. I can then go back and that'll take me straight back to the corrective action. What Susie can then do is when it's time to complete that incident form, you can see it's attached right at the bottom. So she can go through and click on it, go and complete the incident form to log the incident that's happened. We can then go back once it is completed, and she can mark the status as done. Or say she completed the form as a draft, she can mark it as started and then mark it as done once she's completed it. Cool. So that's how you can kind of monitor those corrective actions, set tasks straight from the phone, and just keep your team fully in the loop from there, which is really cool. While we're on this page, you can use the filters up the top here. So based off everything that's active at the moment, you can do things only tasks that are overdue. So you can kind of track to make sure everyone has been doing their job. And this little lightning bolt at the end, I haven't got any set up, but these are escalations, which I will show you quickly at the end of today. But they're based off, you know, how you've got the form reminders for your daily forms. You can set up escalations based off that as well. What you can also do from here is if it's not something that's related to a form, you can just go in and create a random corrective action. So you click the little green plus in the top right corner and just make one based off no relation to a form or an incident at all. And you can set that task to someone. So you'll see we've got some in here that are for, you know, restocking the smoothie cups in the storage cupboard, retraining, bathroom doesn't look clean enough, so you need to clean it again. So it can be for a range of things, but it's just one way to store tasks that you and your staff need to complete. Cool. Does that make sense for everyone? Does anyone have any questions around managing those corrective actions at all? Cool. I take that as we're all good. Sweet. From there, I will click the little menu icon up the top, and that opens that menu back up. What we're going to look into from here that people don't really know about is this dashboard feature. So I'll click onto that one. What we've got here is it's a really good view if you are, say, a head chef or a front of house manager or something like that, who you mainly only work on the app, so you don't actually log into the admin console on your computer at all, but you want to have a quick insight into how things are tracking and that your staff are doing their day-to-day jobs. So you could just as easily go onto your daily schedule, go back in time and have a look at each day that's been completed. But that can be a slightly manual process. So what you can do is use our dashboard feature in the menu. And what you can see here are the manual temperature readings, which I did see that question come up about equipment. I'll answer that one at the end. But we've got the manual temperature readings here just to check that, you know, your temperature or your equipment is all looking all good. We've got refrigeration and freezers. We've got those key kind of topics around sickness, complaints, incidences. So we can have a look at those, make sure they're being logged. If you see all zeros in here for a whole week, you might think, you know, you might need to record some delivery. So it could be something in action you might want to then trigger for your staff. And then you can also see the form percentage for those daily completed forms or those daily scheduled forms. So you'll see here, Friday, I had 0%. I might go and make a message or a corrective action for someone to find out why there weren't any completed. We could have been closed on Friday, or it could have been new staff who didn't actually know how to use the app, and we'll need to rectify that so that doesn't happen again moving forward. Cool. So that's a really nice little view that can be really helpful. So have a play around with that one in your account. The only other thing I'd like to have a little dive into is just the messages. You can use this just to send out a message from the app to all people in your account. So it can be a nice work, guys. I saw the close up yesterday was really clean. Good job. Or we passed our verification with flying colors. Awesome work, guys. Or it can be, you know, reminder, we're closed tomorrow. Don't come into work. Things like that. And that's just done by clicking this little green plus icon in the top right corner. And again, it sends to all of the users in your account. Awesome. From the app side of things, you can then go in and view saved forms. So you can see up to the last 30 days of forms in here. This is really helpful if you're doing those ad hoc forms. So you can check in here. You'll see that form we completed just before for the training is here. It'll ask you to enter your PIN number because it's a private form. that you can go through and view all of the forms you've completed from here. That way, if some are saved as drafts, you have the opportunity to go in and complete them, maybe at the end of the day once it's quieted down a little bit as well. Cool. You can add suppliers on the fly as well here with the little green plus button, or if you need to contact any, you can give them a call just by clicking straight onto their contact and clicking into the little green phone icon here as well, just to give them a call, say their delivery's late or there was an issue, you can call them straight away from the app. The only thing you can't quite do at the moment is add equipment from the app. That all needs to be done on the admin console. So I'll show you how to do that. But what we can see here is if there are any resources attached, that's a little paperclip, and the red means that maintenance is due. If it has a little view icon, that gives you the opportunity to view the last maintenance form that you completed for that piece of equipment as well. Awesome. So I think that leaves me with everything I wanted to talk about on the app so far. My final thing I'll just quickly add in is this little Wi-Fi button in the top right corner. If that ever goes into a red triangle or you start to see some numbers accumulate next to it, just either contact us or click it, and that usually means that you're out of network. So you're not in a connection where it's sending your forms up to the admin console, it's storing them locally on your phone. They're really safe and it's all good to keep them on your phone. Just make sure you don't log out, because you will lose those forms, because then they'll no longer be able to be stored in your account. But we do store things completely offline. They save to your phone, and then once you're back in connection or back in Wi-Fi or 4G, it sends them up to the admin console, so you've still got those records saved. But just keep an eye on that. If you find staff might say that the form, they could complete a form and it hasn't uploaded, it usually means that it's just been stored on their phone and they just need to go into a Wi-Fi range so they can get that sent up there. Perfect. I'm just reading a quick Q&A. Cool. June, is that around reporting on how to then filter and look into your staff training? If so, I'll show you that on the admin console when we jump over to that now. Just feel free to add to that Q&A just to let me know, and I will jump into that one too. Cool. So if you do have any more questions about the mobile, add them in, but I'll jump to the admin console for this last little bit of today's training session. Perfect. So you should be able to see the dashboard right now. It's just up on my other screen, which is why I keep looking over there. But basically, what I wanted to show you on here is just to close the loop. I did want to mainly focus on the mobile, but if I just give this page a quick little refresh, what we can see is those corrective actions up the top. So you'll start to see that my corrective action was added here. The yellow pops up because, say, I was managing deliveries or incidents with the yellow corrective action. If I click on that, I can then view the blue note up the top and the little corrective action. And I can scroll down to view the corrective action from here. So you can go through and edit it if there is a problem with it. Click the little pencil icon, maybe there's a typo, or you just want to add a little bit more information. You can totally do that from there. You can change the status if maybe they marked it as done, but you're like, nope, you've still got some work to do. You could change it back to do, or if it was incorrect, make it as cancelled, and that will go off from there. So it's marked as not applicable almost. Change who it's assigned to, priority, and you can also attach forms and resources from here as well. If you want to add an additional one, you can do this to any forms either on the reports page or from the activity stream, just by clicking this little corrective actions button up the top. So it gives you the ability to add another one from here. So that can be really helpful when it comes to looking at the activity stream. Say you're monitoring your dashboard and you see a incident form pop up, or maybe a cleaning check and they missed a cleaning task, you could add a corrective action to that form to then tell them to complete that task or to do it better next time or something along those lines. Clicking this little arrow here, this one gives you that insight into all of your corrective actions. So you've got the different sections go across the side. So you've got the text in here, who they're assigned to, status, and so on. You can make a new one at the bottom. or you can just filter the page. So say you only want to look at the ones that are to do, just to check in to see. And so we've just got these two here. Perfect, they look good. You can also export this as well if you need to filter, or maybe look into the most commonly brought up corrective actions to see if you want to get some stats on that as well. You can also jump across to the closed section here just to see all that have been marked as done or cancelled. Those will show in here. Cool. What I did want to show, so I will answer that question now around, what was it about? How to add chillers and fridges. Awesome. So that is done here on the admin console. So you need admin or manager access to be able to log in here. And this is where you have that ability to view your dashboard and set everything up in your account. So if you've only logged into the mobile so far, go to our website, safefoodpro.co.nz, and there's a little login button on there. Then you can type in your login details to access this account. Jump across to equipment, and that will open up your equipment page. Mine obviously has a lot of data in here, but yours will probably be blank if it's not already set up so far. Click the green plus button to add a new piece of equipment, and then the little fridge icon. Then you just add in the details. So say I've got to add a fridge, I'll go fridge, let's say it's the front of house fridge. You can do serial number, description. To get the fridge to show up in your temperature check form, you need to make the equipment category refrigeration, or it can also be freezer. Those two will automatically show up in your temperature check form, so you don't need to edit the form at all. As soon as you save this, it'll automatically show up there on the app for your team to complete your temperature checks. Maintained by, this links to service suppliers on your suppliers page, so I can add my fridge maintenance person in there as well. And then how often you get them maintained. So let's say I send it off every year to get an annual check. The settings here based off your recommended range, you want those temperature checks to go in between. So 5 and 2 is what we do by default. So that way, if they enter a temperature of say 7 degrees, they'll get a little notification saying, hey, that looks a little bit higher than recommended. Please explain why. Maybe the fridge door was left open, or it might be broken. They need to create a corrective action to then go and get the maintenance team to come in and fill in that maintenance check. That's basically the main things you need to do. You just save it from there, then it shows up in that temperature check form. Cool. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it didn't quite get there. The final thing I just want to quickly show for today is in the forms page, and this is still to do with the app, but it's around those reminders and escalations that I briefly spoke about at the start. So you can set these for your daily forms, or your reminders can be for monthly forms. And they're a really powerful feature. So if you find you're struggling with, a specific staff member, or some staff are forgetting to do some of their forms, these can prompt them to be able to do that. So say, it's an end of day form, they always forget to do this because they're just ready to go home. So I'll click the pencil button to open up the form. It's a daily form, so it has to be daily. I scroll down here and I can add a reminder. So I click on here. You can either choose a save reminder that you've already set up, or you can create your own. Make a name if you'd like to save it again. So I can just go end of day reminder. Oops. And number of minutes before scheduled time. So this form is due at 12. Let's say we're just a morning spot. So I want it to remind them 5 minutes before 12 o'clock so that they make sure this form gets done. Once that's saved, they'll get a little push notification or a pop-up on the app to say, reminder, it's time to do your end of day closing checklist, and they can click straight onto the notification from there to jump them into that form so they can complete it. What you can then do is create an escalation. And what these are basically a task or a notification to let you know that that form wasn't completed when it was due. So you can again set the name. So I'm going to say end of day escalation. Number of minutes after the scheduled time that the escalation is set. So how long after 12 o'clock do I want to be reminded that it hasn't been completed? So maybe we'll give them, 3 hours justice in case they had a busy day and it took them longer to close. You can then add an email to get notified if that form wasn't completed. So I can add my email in. hit the enter, so you get that gray little bubble. And you could also add a phone number if you'd like to as well. You can only receive 5 text messages per month. So I always recommend to add an email option as well in case you go over your quota. You can set it up so you get a push notification when it's generated, and you could also have it so it creates a corrective action when that's escalation is here as well. So you can make the action, make sure you complete the form or complete a training form to ensure this doesn't happen again. And you can set that to a specific person to complete that task. So there's quite a bit that you can do with this, but it just gives you that whole full loop to ensure that you have your staff on top of those forms. That way, when it comes to verification, everything's done and you don't have to worry about chasing up things in the future. Cool. Usually you click save. I'm just going to click cancel for today's example. But that's basically everything I wanted to show you. So I'm just going to go through the Q&A because there were a few things in here. So feel free to add in some extra questions. If something triggers, don't feel like it's too late to add them in there. More than happy to have a chat. June, you answered, can it be analyzed under date, title, and staff name for staff training? So I think if I'm right, you're having a look into the report side of it. And so what you can look at is once you complete all of your staff training, we've got a staff training summary report here on the reports page. So this whole report, the generate report button, makes one massive report that you can send to your verifier. The staff training will automatically show in there if you use our default training forms. But you can also get just a training document or report is the word I'm looking for, just here. So this will be in everyone's account. You've got the name of your staff here, their position, start date. If you've deleted them, it'll say when departed as their deleted date, the form that they completed for training, and then these sections down here relate to that specific training form, which is why it's a really good one to complete. You can also then drill into it further by clicking the view icon to have a look at that specific form. You can filter these as well a little bit just to sort them so they go in alphabetical order and things like that if you're looking for one person in particular. And you can also print it, email it, or export it to a CSV file. So that's one way to do it. You could also come in here, look at completed forms, and you could look at a date range. So say in this month, you know that someone did training, you're looking for who it was. I'll search for training. And then I can see the form that I was after here. It was completed by me today. And you can look into it from there. The final place that gives you quite a cool insight and a bit of a training history record is to come into the staff and users page, click the pencil icon to look at the staff member you want to look at. And then you've got the training history tab up here. So what this shows is any resource that they've viewed or completed. You've got the completed forms that reference their name. So this is where you can look at their training. So any form that has, their name at the top of it, it'll show up in here. So you can see I've done quite a bit of training in my account. Any quizzes that I've completed. And then you've also got any corrective actions that are related to me. So that way you can check that I've done them all, they've all been completed, and that, I've done everything that I need to do. This can also be printed or emailed as well if your verifier wants to look at training of one specific person. I just saw how are you adding new staff training. So the staff training is added on the app, which we looked at at the start. So you access it by clicking the ad hoc button, which is the green plus button on the app. And then there's a staff training section, and that gives you a few forms for you to work through, like the induction one, that specific training of business or procedure form. And so once you complete them on the app, they'll then show up in those reports for your staff. Cool. I think last couple of questions from Gareth this time. So how do I add dates to verification on activity count? So I think you're referring to on the dashboard, is it this one here, the days to verification? So this one here relates to the field in the My Business section. So if I click on My Business, you can update your own business's records in here. So if I scroll down, just so you know, you can add a little logo of your business as well, which comes out in some of your reports, which is just always nice. Scroll down here, you can add MPI registration number if you've got it, registration date, and then last verification date. And next verification date is what that bucket grabs from. So if I change this, it was at -92 or something along those lines. Change it to, let's go 30th of June, click save, go to my dashboard, and then now I've got 54 days until verification. In regard to your question about the conditional section, that one might take me a little longer to explain. So Gareth, I'll flick you some info individually, and I'll be able to help you out with that one, if that's all good. Sweet. Perfect. Cool. Well, that basically takes me through everything I wanted to cover. If anyone's got any questions from here, or even just some feedback on other things you might want to learn in the future, or maybe some features that you wanted to see if we could add them in, then just let me know. Email me at support@safefoodpro.co.nz, and I can help from there. So please don't feel like you're stuck at all. Just message me, and there's always a solution that we can help with as well. June, I'll send you that conditional information as well. Easy. Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you in the next webinar next month. See ya.